tsunami threat to Hawaii. There is approximately 3 hours to the first wave arrival, which is estimated at 7:10 p.m. Hawaii Standard Time.
So Hawaii had a pretty eventful day yesterday. Now, I know that sounds really alarming, but let me give you the rundown of what happened. Right off the bat, we're all safe. I have not heard any reports about deaths or injuries. The only thing I've heard was a couple fender benders when people were trying to evacuate. So all in all, we lucked out. Oddly enough, I heard about the tsunami warnings through Aaron Parnas first. So thank you for giving me the heads up. But shortly after, like 15 minutes after I saw his video, I started getting alerts on my phone. The first one came in at about 2:45 in the afternoon. So after we got the alerts on our phone, we turned on our TV and turned to Hawaii News Now. They were doing a live broadcast and keeping everybody updated on the progress of the potential tsunami coming in our way. And they also did a really great job of educating people about the levels of the tsunami and like what we can expect, how the waves will come in and whatnot, and they gave great visuals. It was kind of hilarious to watch. The local sirens were going off every hour in conjunction with the pop-up alerts that came through our phone. And we got to see all of our state officials kind of mobilize the community to make sure everybody was safe. So our state is divided up into 4 major islands, and there's a bunch of smaller islands around some of the other islands as well. And as far as mayor districts go, we have 4 mayoral districts, if that makes sense. So each of our mayors was getting on the news broadcast and like talking about like where we should go, like what we should do, and what shelters were opening up where and so forth, depending on which county you lived in. And then our state governor got on TV as well and gave us an update from him, and again reiterating everything, all the safety precautions that were being given to us. I saw news footage of like police officers going down to all the beaches and telling everybody to get out of the water and to like take higher ground, and that happened pretty much immediately. I think a lot of the coastal hotels were also evacuating people up to the 4th floor. Now, I live in a village of about 8,000 people, I think, last I checked, and we are in the middle of pretty much nowhere surrounding us. So I honestly did not think that we would receive anybody coming into our area, but I was mistaken. At about 5 o'clock, I went down to our local plaza in our neighborhood to go get my husband and I some dinner, and that place was so crowded. The parking lot was filled. I have never seen that parking lot that busy. Place is packed. There were lines out the door to every restaurant available that was there. So I'm glad we called in our order ahead of time. And then of course there was a line of cars out the gas station because everybody started panic buying. Cops were at the main corner of our community directing traffic. Good grief. I have never seen the plaza that freaking crowded before. And because my community is at a high elevation, a lot of the people that came were kind of just watching the sunset and watching the ocean from high above. I will say that a lot of the people were very kind and understanding, and giving a lot of grace to all of the workers at the restaurants because they were running around like crazy people. And they kept apologizing, saying, I'm sorry, it's going to be late, blah, 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 we're behind. And everybody was like, no worries, you guys are doing great, thank you. And everybody was really kind, and I saw them getting lots of tips. So I get back home, we watch more news coverage, I'm listening to the sirens go off every hour, I eat our dinner, and then I saw a post on my local group's Facebook page that our local school down the corner had opened up as a temporary shelter. Now, the school was not on the list as a designated shelter, so they weren't prepared for the influx of people they received, but the principal decided, just go ahead and open it up, help the community out. So when I saw the post roll through, I was like, I'm going to go down and help out and volunteer, so that's what I did. Now, I unfortunately did not have any supplies I could bring because we're pretty much due for a run to the store. But I did have some snacks available that were unopened that I brought down there and started passing it out to the kids that were there. And then I mainly positioned myself at the registration table just to make sure we can check people in and get a good count of how many people were there, because the cafeteria only could hold 400 people. And I saw shuttle after shuttle after shuttle from all the hotels that were down by the beach, dropping people off. And I was like, holy crap, this is crazy. Now, because we live in a place that has a temperate climate all year round, it's not very common out here for places to have like central heat or air conditioning, so the cafeteria got very hot very fast. So what I did see from my community was people bringing in fans and blankets and pop-up beds so children can lay on something instead of the hard floor, and it was really comforting to see. The people who do our landscaping at our property actually came over and brought like tons of water for everybody. I ended up having to use my Google Translate app to communicate with a Japanese couple that did not speak English very well. People in the shelter were asking about like Wi-Fi and like if we had cots and stuff like that, and we had to explain to them we weren't designated as a shelter, we just kind of opened up and we're winging it, so just sit tight, we're doing the best we can. Someone from our Parks and Rec department actually did come by and ask what we needed, so I think he's the one that brought some cots, like 20 of them. I don't know if it was him or someone else, but we did end up getting like 20 cots for some children to sleep in. And then we had several other people that were members of our community come in and say, hey, I have an extra room, I'm happy to take a family off your hands. So the principal then went around to see who was in most need, like, people with children and the elderly. So some people got to leave our shelter and go home with members of our community that had extra space in their homes. The cafeteria had a projector screen hung down, and then they were broadcasting the news so we can all stay updated on the alerts of when it was safe to go back. The lower roads coming into our community were blocked off because they were closer to the ocean. Some people were also asking me like how they were going to get back to their hotel since they, took an Uber up here, and Uber kind of stops working after a certain time because there's not a lot of need for it. And I made the personal promise, I'm like, we're going to try to get the hotels to send their shuttles up here, but if they don't, I will personally take you back. And he was very thankful. But all in all, my entire community came together really wonderfully, and I am so proud to live in the community that I do. And I'm proud of my state for mobilizing the way that they did. Thankfully, any flooding that occurred wasn't more than a few feet. So if there was any damage, I think it was minimal and isolated. And it's hard not to get political in times like this, but we did have a 5-hour notice from when the first wave was going to hit us. And that was thanks to services like NOAA, the National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration. The same service that is going to be affected by all of the budget cuts starting October 1st. And also, considering that we're in a blue state, I'm very thankful none of us needed FEMA to step in. Another agency that's receiving cuts, and also, because we're in a blue state, we probably would have gotten delayed help from them. So needless to say, we were able to mobilize the way that we did and make sure our community was safe because we had such advance notice. We may not be so lucky next time. But today I'm going to be thankful that it wasn't as bad of a tsunami as we were expecting, and I'm thankful that we had advance notice. And I'm thankful for our mayors and governors stepping in and organizing. I'm thankful for our news to be broadcasting and giving us accurate information. And I'm so thankful for my community for stepping up in times of need. Peace.